Today on Cityline, the man who saved Times Square, plus the story of two Westmores. They share the same name but have very different lives. Hello everyone, I'm Karen Holmes Ward. Welcome to Cityline. With Memorial Day just around the corner, we thought it would be a good idea to celebrate some veterans today. Later in the program, Rhodes Scholar, soldier, and author Wes Moore on his memoir about a road not taken. It's called The Other Wes Moore. But first, you may know him as the man who saved Times Square, maybe even the man who saved New York. He's the astute New Yorker who, on the evening of May 1st, alerted police to the suspicious abandoned car containing a bomb. If it had detonated, many lives could have been lost. Duane Jackson has owned a vendor cart for over 20 years in Times Square. His company, Duane's of Times Square, sells fashion accessories and golf clubs. Here's how ABC's Yunji Denise reported the story.
Keep moving! Get out of the street!
A sea of people pour out of Times Square on a balmy Saturday night, clogging the surrounding avenues.
People just started scattering everywhere and just running.
I was coming out of Toys R Us and the car started smoking, and then I started seeing flames.
After the makings of a bomb are discovered, police cordon off a dozen blocks in the heart of the square, the crossroads of the world suddenly eerily empty.
Please keep moving!
The bomb on Broadway didn't stop the show. A few theaters delayed curtain calls, but there were no cancellations. And in a city too accustomed to threats of terrorism, some complacency.
You don't seem particularly concerned, though.
Well, we thought they'd move everybody if they were concerned.
But vendors that witnessed the smoking SUV were worried, especially Duane Jackson, who survived the 9/11 attacks and carries that memory with him.
I saw the propane tanks and the gasoline. What if that would have ignited? I mean, I'm less than 8 feet away from the car, so that was my whole thing, is that, you know, we dodged a bullet here.
Dodged a bullet thanks to this man, who was selling I Love New York t-shirts steps away. Lance Orton, a Vietnam veteran, immediately alerted a mounted policeman.
Your message, Lance, to the people of New York.
If you see something, say something.
Not looking for attention, just doing the right thing.
The man who saved New York, well, I know him as Duane Smokey Jackson. We met at Boston University. He's a 1976 graduate at BU with a degree in urban planning and completed postgraduate work at the University of District Columbia in transportation planning. Jackson is a Vietnam vet and served on board the USS Ranger in 71-72, where he worked as an airman on the flight deck. Welcome to Cityline.
Thank you, Karen.
Hi, Duane. Well, what a crazy maelstrom you have been in since this thing went down on May 1st.
Yes, you know, as I said earlier, you know, we certainly dodged a bullet at that particular time, but, you know, little did I know when I approached the car and looked inside the contents of the vehicle. You know, I just saw that it was parked very close to the corner. I walked over to it, looked inside. The keys were in the ignition. The car was running, the emergency lights were on, and there was no driver around. And as the events unfolded so quickly, one of the local beat cops, Jason, ran up to me and asked me if I'd seen who'd gotten out of it. And I didn't know at that time that Lance had sent one of his guys around the corner to get the mounted police. And when he arrived, we're kind of scratching our heads. And
what's really amazing when you think about it, you know, this expression, see something, say something. Many New Yorkers might have just walked by or not given it a second thought. Why did you and Lance decide that this was something that needed some special attention?
Well, you know, that 45th Street has more theaters than any other block on the Great White Way. And, you know, Lance and I both have been there for over 12 years. And when the car was parked there, what got my attention was what knucklehead would leave the car this close to the corner and the buses can't make that turn. So that was my first indication to just go over and try and find the person who left it there. And as I kind of looked inside and looked out, not knowing what was yet to come, I was just concerned that he needed to move that car.
Well, you know, you became an instant hero. Mayor Michael Bloomberg. You had a chance to speak on the phone to President Barack Obama. I've seen you on Fox, CNN, and you even ended up on World News Tonight with Diane Sawyer, and we have a clip from that show.
I mean, you feel like you made a difference?
I'm a veteran. What do you think?
Lance Orton, New Yorker and veteran, part of a brotherhood of veterans who serve as eyes and ears on the front lines of the streets of New York. A state law going back to the Civil War gives vending licenses to disabled veterans. There are 105 among the thousands in business around Times Square, selling everything from pocketbooks to T-shirts to all the things that say, "I love New York."
If anybody would see anything out here that was out of the ordinary, it's all these veterans that have a spot on every corner.
A lot of the guys know each other. It's not only Vietnam veterans, but they're veterans from Iraq, from Afghanistan. And what we try and do is to keep hope alive by being there for the next generation of veterans who are coming home.
A band of brothers who once served in the fight for freedom, looking out for all of us on the streets of New York.
You're safe, don't worry.
Yes,
we got you. You never have to worry in Times Square.
So there's a real brotherhood there in Times Square, close-knit group.
Well, you know, as Diane reported, that we're under a 1868 law that was created by the New York State Legislature to give Civil War veterans returning home an opportunity to start their own business. And that was the intent of the law, and it stayed on the books over 100 years. And unfortunately, it was during the time of the Dinkins administration that the politics of it changed, and they adjusted the law, or should I say amended it, that actually disenfranchised us for about 6 years. And then under the Giuliani administration, we were able to reach an amenable deal where we were able to come back to Times Square, which is where I had been originally in 1989, and set up and go back into business.
Now, you are not only a member of the Disabled Veteran Group, but you're also part of an organization called the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Officials, and joined that several years ago. Right.
The group is called Noble. They're a great group of retired and active law enforcement people, and they also have an associate group, which I joined almost 3 years ago, and they do a lot of outreach to the communities around the country, and it's just a great group to be a part of, and their outreach to inner city youths and this whole thing of don't snitch stuff, trying to combat that type of thing, and I was already pretty much involved with that issue going into this particular incident, and certainly hope to continue my work with Noble as we go forward.
So your sense of law and order and bringing folks to justice was obviously already in place before this Times Square incident.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the streets of New York, certainly they're not as rough as they used to be, but you know, you have to be alert even within our own sphere of influence. But I'm a person who believes in communityism and you know, looking out for your neighbor and that type of thing, and I will continue to do that.
Now, you were here this past week to attend commencement activities at Boston University. You and I both BU grads.
Yes.
And you're also in charge of another organization, an alumni group out of BU. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's the Golden Decade Foundation. We have a website, goldendecade.org. And what we do, about 5 years ago we started it, and it's not only BU grads, but grads from some of the other universities and colleges in the Boston area that attended school in the 70s and the 80s. And as that old saying goes, help throw the rope back. That's exactly what we try and do. We do a mentoring program, we do some internships, and we do some networking, and we offer scholarships to young people all over the country who are trying to matriculate through the university system. And it's not just a BU or a Harvard or Tufts or Brandeis, but also, you know, we've given scholarship to Ella Skeeter Williams' daughter out in at USC.
Skeeter's a famous actor, for those that don't know. Many have seen him in the Verizon commercial most recently. It's a good group. Good, lots of folks who came through Boston University during that period have gone on to just wonderful careers, great connections, and so it's good to kind of bring people back together and exchange business cards and see how everybody can help each other.
Sure, it's about, you know, networking, and, you know, also, you know, class of '74, Alfre Woodard. You know, I just found out that in the class of '98, Russell Hornsby, who actually I think I'll get an opportunity.
He's on Broadway and Fences.
Right, we're going to see that Friday.
Now, and I think you have a Golden Decade reunion coming up in October of this year, the last weekend of October. And I think you brought me a gift. Ever the Entrepreneur in Times Square, if you stop by your stand, you have created a T-shirt called I Saw Something, So I Said Something. Times Square, New York City, May 1st. 2010.
Yes.
Okay, Duane Jackson, thank you so much for being here today.
It's great seeing you, Karen, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, you know you will. Hey, everybody, we want to thank Smokey for coming down, and if you're in New York, stop by his card in Times Square. Now, for links to his website and the Golden Decade Foundation website, visit the CityLine page on thebostonchannel.com. When we come back, a veteran of the war in Afghanistan, author Wes Moore, on his new book, The Other Wes Moore, a true story of two boys with the same name whose lives took very different paths.